everybody. This is Jim Wall at Jim Wall's Percussive Arts Academy at Blue Buddha Music Studio in Cleveland, Ohio. A shuffle is a groove or a drum set beat that has a bouncy feel to it. With that in mind, a shuffle can still be just this groove. Because the shuffling element of it, or that bounciness, could exist in another instrument. It may be the piano player going the bass. So just because something's a shuffle does not necessarily mean that we can't just play quarter notes on it. We very well might. But getting beyond that and getting into shuffling on either the hi-hat, the ride cymbal, or whatever your ride source is, we want to think of this at first as the first and third notes of a triplet. A triplet is one triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet. Three evenly placed notes in each beat. One triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet. If we leave out the trip and play the one triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet, one triplet, then we're starting to shuffle. One triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet, one triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet. Right? Nice. Now, I'm going to take that and I'm going to put the bass drum on 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that on 2 and 4, I'm actually going to be hitting the bass drum and the snare and the hi-hat at the same time. If the bass player is playing what we would call a walking bass line, where he's going ga-doom, doom, 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 ga-doom, doom, 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 we might have that 4 on the floor. In other words, the bass drum on every beat. If the bass player was playing what we would call a 2-feel, boom, a 3, a 1, 3, a 1, we might decide to put the bass drum on 1 and 3 as well. 1, 3, those are two basic but very usable shuffles. You could move those over to the ride cymbal. You could put them on the floor tom. There's a lot we can do with just that. Now, what if we go another step and we have the snare drum, the left hand on the snare drum, also playing that shuffle pattern? So the hands would be in unison. Unison means playing the same thing at the same time. Again, I could put the bass drum on 1 and 3, or on 1, 2, 3, and 4. You may see me opening and closing the hi-hat to get that chick sound. That can add a nice little extra crispness to beats 2 and 4 if you want. Put it on every beat. Now, if you notice, I've started to accent on beats 2 and 4 on the snare drum. So instead of making all the snares the same volume, which can be usable, I'm making all of the notes softer except for 2 and 4, and I'm giving those a little extra punch. So now my snare drum part is going 1 triplet, 2 see some drummers using different parts of the snare drum to enhance that difference between the accented and unaccented notes even more. So somebody might play near the edge for the soft notes and come to the middle of the drum where you get more volume as well as a deeper tone on the 2 and 4. If you're just getting started on shuffles, I wouldn't recommend that for now. All this back and forth is probably unnecessary. Okay. Now, with the right hand, do we want to accent on 2 and 4 as well? Well, we may. That would go. Or we might do that only on the snare drum and have the ride cymbal not accent, just play all the same. Or we could be using strong notes on the beats and a weaker note on the upstroke for the lets. So 1 triplet, 2 triplet. Again, whatever we want to do with the bass drum, we could put it on 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or we might even come up with a pattern like boom. The bass drum, if we wanted to really get heavy, could also do the shuffle. So we could have 3 limbs, the hi-hat, the ride cymbal, the snare drum, and the bass drum, all playing a shuffle. Similarly, we might change the ride cymbal pattern. It could just do quarter notes. What if I put 4 on the floor and 4 on the ride cymbal so that they're in unison, and I put my shuffle in the left hand? I could also keep quarter notes on the ride cymbal and have the bass drum and snare drum working in a pattern where the snare's only playing the 2 and the 4, the bass drum's playing everything else. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. The ride cymbal could also be playing the jazz ride pattern. What if we have the snare drum playing the shuffle, 1 and 3 on the bass drum, and a jazz ride pattern which goes 1, 2 triplet, 3, 4 triplet, 2 triplet, 3, 4 triplet. You may hear in some blues music especially, guitar players playing on the lets. So in other words, ta 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 ta. Sometimes I like to use my hi-hat to get that chick. In this case, I'm going to even throw a little tambourine up here to give us a strong backbeat on 2 and 4. And have this thing playing what that guitar player may or may not be doing. I may decide to do that because it should be there and maybe he's not doing it or doing something else. So. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The ride cymbal, tons of variations. I could be doing quarter notes. playing a shuffle, full shuffle here. Jazz ride pattern. There's so much more we can talk about, and I'm going to do another video where we address things like a halftime shuffle, a little more of the jazz type approaches to the shuffle. Remember, you can also play it on the floor tom. And we could do like a train beat type of shuffle. So we're going to do that in the next video. Please, as always, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would help me out greatly. If you feel like this was of some benefit to you and might help someone else out, please like it and share it and all that stuff. And if you'd like to leave some comments or questions down below, I would be happy to go down there and respond. All right, I'm just going to play a few shuffles for you and get out of here. Thank you so much for checking this out.